Welcome back, everyone, to the T.R.O.N podcast. This is your host, Rashad Woods. Today, I have a very special guest in Boca Raton, Florida. Entrepreneur, speaker, AI advocate, and creator of the LinkedIn Vantage. Very good uses of how to use your LinkedIn profile and a mastery of public speaking and helping business and career owners. Mr. Al Kushner, thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Rashad. It's a
been
pleasure.
An honor, and I'm really looking forward. Your background is varied. You started off graduate from the New York University, and then you ventured into healthcare. So just give us a quick run of your background, please.
Well, yeah, so I attended college, and afterwards I got involved in the insurance industry and had done that for the past, many years, I would say. And it really gave me kind of the groundwork that I needed to actually create my book, because it showcased some of my experience and used it in a way to showcase leadership, where it was something that was always eluded me. And I finally figured out a way to create it by creating a book that establishes myself as an authority, particularly when it comes to LinkedIn and AI, since I've been using LinkedIn for the past 20 years.
So what's crazy about LinkedIn is that I think a lot of people only use it at the surface level. Even when you're on it, there's a lot more powerful tools that people aren't familiar with. So based on your usage and years of it, what exactly have you found out how robust it actually really is?
Well, I think a lot of people don't really take it seriously for the most part. I mean, they kind of treat it almost like other platforms like Facebook, and it's really not. It's really a way to connect with people, mostly business to business, I would say. And it's definitely a way to leverage your abilities in a way that has never been done before. I mean, it's really incredible. It's more than a resume. It has such more meaning in terms of the connections that you make and the things you can post on there, like videos and articles that you've written. So it really gives you a lot more opportunity to make quality connections.
Was this one of those aha platforms, but based on your history and your career, where it was almost like this is the platform that could really take career and potential and business connections, professional connections to the next level? Because again, it's so robust and it really isn't like any other platform. And then can you dive a little bit into LinkedIn Vantage of how that came into fruition?
Well, I would say in the beginning, LinkedIn was just getting started. I didn't think it really started taking off until Microsoft took over, and it really enhanced a lot of the capabilities that you see today. So it really created a lot of opportunity that really has never been done before. I mean, it reached close to over 900 million users, which is incredible. So you really have such an amazing reach. And you find that the ability to provide value to whoever you connect with is immeasurable. I mean, you can go on the platform and showcase a lot more features to someone who you want to connect with. Either you have your accomplishments that you've done or recommendations from other people. It really is amazing how it evolved. And Link Vantage is just something that I created to help people to optimize their profile and also to create effective outreach strategies that really are beyond what you'll find in normal marketing situations.
So it also shows some sort of pratfalls that people can use not pratfalls, when people have to disconnect from certain users, the proper protocols in place, because it is a professional network, unlike your typical social network where, hey, this is the barbecue, this is the kid's graduation sort of spiel. So it shows, you also give some tips on your website of, hey, this is how you may disassociate from a connection, and then people don't notice that you actually do it. So what are the tips of navigating that professionally when people do need to, for lack of a better term, delete somebody away from their profile network?
Well, I mean, you have features on the platform where you can delete them and also block them altogether. So it really is not rocket science. I mean, you go there and do that. I think it's just a matter of, what direction you want to take. You have to really look at who you're accepting into your universe. And you're allowing this individual who, off the bat is still going to start pitching you, what we call pitch slap. Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty hectic when people start, people will see their title and then automatically they're basically like sending you like their sales pitch, or they're sending you, their hey, I can offer this service without even like sort of an introductory hello. And it's overwhelming actually, right? When people just assume all of a sudden that you want to buy something from them, or they're the next great salesperson of a particular service,
Well, that's the thing. And it's also part of your profile. So if already your profile is just overwhelmingly salesy, you're going to find that people are going to be not really accepting your, connection, unless there's something that's so compelling, like maybe you were referred by someone and maybe there was an interest. But if that's not the case, you're really just going to be at a loss when someone tries to connect with you. They look at your
Right.
profile, they don't see it's professional or lacking. They just won't accept it. And a lot of times when you reach out, it may be considered as
Right.
spam, and LinkedIn will
Right.
notice
Right.
that. So you don't
Do
want
you
that
see a
happening.
generational difference of usage of LinkedIn? Like, millennials may do more certain things as opposed to more established user base.
Well, I think it's kind of universal across the platform. I mean, I've seen a lot of people who are older than millennials making a lot of mistakes that they shouldn't be making when it comes to their
Mhm.
profile, whereby millennials seem to be, pretty much adept at it. Maybe they're, taking courses in college or something that's keeping them abreast of how important it has to have a profile that's
Right.
optimized. Take, for example, your profile image. I mean, you should get a professional headshot, ideally, would
Right.
be great. But most importantly, don't forget the background image. If you're leaving it blank, I mean, you're just losing an opportunity to make more,
For
connections with
sure.
people. A lot of times when people see it's like you're just getting started or something. You should really have a
Right.
background image. And in the background image, have something that kind of talks about things that you offer to
Right.
people, whether it's a value added service or even a
Right.
quote, just make it
True,
interesting.
absolutely. And then I think sometimes when you see people's profile, they start blending in personal items as opposed to professional items. When you go on LinkedIn, you're like, that's not really this avenue for discussion that should be had on this professional website. And it starts to bleed into that more, that you see it more often. And it's awkward too, because then it could set a precedence of who wants to deal with you, because they know that you can't, unfortunately your emotions are coming out on a personal thing that should be better left on a more social network, not a professional website.
I'll be honest with you, you shouldn't leave it on any
True.
website. I mean, if you're at to have a picture of you on a booze cruise or something and, you're an attorney and you think people want to take you seriously, it shouldn't be on any platform,
Right.
period.
Right.
So always think about what you're going to post and whether or not it's going to add value to whoever you're
Right.
connecting with. I mean, certainly, photos and such that are of a personal nature really don't belong on
Without
LinkedIn,
question.
to be
Without
honest with you.
question. So you're an author of 5 books as well too, and so talk about your writing and your authorship as well, please.
Well, my last book, which won actually an award in its category, was something that was a kind of a
Mhm.
passion of mine, and it focused in on people, particularly on Medicare
Right.
and turning 65, because there are over 20,000 people every day turning 65 and have no clue what to do with their benefits they're
Mhm.
entitled to. And my book kind of helps educate people in that way. And when I created this book on LinkedIn, this also was a way to educate people how to use AI technology and LinkedIn together, because it was never really put together that way. In fact, it's the first book of its kind
Saw
that
that.
really addresses both AI and LinkedIn
Saw that.
together. And it's amazing how you can use technology like, I don't know, ChatGPT, for example, to create content, create scripts or
Unbelievable.
videos on the fly. It's really amazing how it helps you save your
It
time.
does. And it's crazy because I think that one of the things that people have gotten accustomed to is they get scared of technology, but then they realize that they actually need it, right? For instance, the automation, I always call it like the Luddits, right? They were crashing the textiles locations in England because they were concerned they're going to get rid of textile workers. At the end of the day, technology can be a tool when used properly and when you're educated on how to use it. So when you started utilizing AI, what was some of the fears that people had to overcome when it came to the usage of technology? Because you saw writer strikes, you see people getting all up in arms that it's going to replace them.
I think people fear the fact that the technology could be overwhelming at times, and I think they kind of lose on their
Mhm.
authenticity. And I think that if you can use it as a tool and then add some of your own, value or your own
Right.
words, that will be very helpful. It's just really as a tool that you use, and it's not an
Right.
end all. And people were seeing it as an end all, and that's really not the
What
case.
did you find? I'm so fascinated about your health career too, because navigating healthcare is notoriously complex. So, what have you seen during the changes? Because you were at Blue Cross, Aetna, Humana throughout that entire course, and you're obviously helping people with Medicare. How do you navigate such a complex and personal business venture for people? Because healthcare is very personal, but it is a business.
Well, you have to be on top of what the changes are happening in the
Right.
industry. Every year there is always going to be new plans coming out, and you have to really examine what's best for your client. And I try to look at what is the latest information that's available. And every year, we get tested as far as learning the knowledge of the products and services. I think the overall thing is that you want to help people avoid mistakes that they should make, because some of those mistakes could be permanent. And that
Correct.
really is something that people are shocked
Right.
about. And they realize, what do you mean? I mean, I had one person, she was 80 something years old, and I would say that she didn't realize that she had to have a prescription plan as part of her
Part D,
Medicare.
right?
And yeah, and that's just something that she was like, couldn't believe the penalties that were associated with it in order to even get back
Oh my
on it.
goodness.
And she was taking a risk. And because she didn't think, well, she didn't need medicine, so why
Right,
take it?
right.
But it's required. So people in for a shock if they don't do that. They just have Medicare.
I didn't know it was required, to be quite honest with you. I didn't know that Medicare Part D was part of a requirement. This, you see about it so often, and then they have Medicare Advantage plans and things of that nature.
Well, Advantage plans include the Part D as part of that, but the fact is, if they have a supplement, uh, again, or just straight Medicare, they need to have something to cover for prescription
Mhm.
drugs. And there are plans that are very reasonable and affordable. Some of them are even free, depending on where you live. There's no reason not
Right.
to have it, but not having it, and all of a sudden you need it at some point down the road, well, it's going to cost you.
Unquestionably. Well, how's your public speaking career? I know you're an avid public speaker. You hold seminars, events, workshops. You have two separate websites. One is Linked Advantage. The other one is alkushner.com. So on that side of your public speaking and workshops, can you dive into that for us?
Well, I do offer courses on LinkedIn and my website, linkvantage.com. One focuses on profile optimization, and the other one focuses on
Mhm.
outreach. And they're self-study courses that they can take and at your leisure, which really works and is very effective.
Mhm.
The other site focuses on speaking opportunities. I speak with associations and educate them on LinkedIn. And I think that kind of showcases the information I have. Member of the National Speakers Association. I've been verified as a virtual speaker, and it's given me a lot of great opportunities to connect with other speakers who have been in the industry for many
Fantastic.
years. So it's really a great way to be part of an organization like that to really propel one's career, I would think,
Do
in
you
that area.
find it now, and I know this may sound like a silly question, that it's mandatory now for people to have a LinkedIn profile because you may still have people on the fence that maybe old schooling it, or maybe people don't see the value in having a public presence like that? I know like a lot of people have gotten past that point because they realize they need to have a digital presence. But for people who are still on the fence, like, well, I'm just one of 900 million people. How do you sell the value add of having that?
I guess depends on what industry they're in. If they are a speaker, for example, not having it, it puts yourself at
Right,
a loss because that's people who go check out your
right,
profile. Same thing with people looking for jobs. Employers always check their profiles, whoever they are
right,
considering, if they're getting past a certain level, and they want to know who the person is
right,
behind. When they're looking at their
right.
profile. So it really is important. Or not considering it, well, I guess maybe people who are retired and don't necessarily need to be in the job
Right.
force. That could be an
Right.
example.
It was almost funny now because people like in regular conversation, when somebody's talking to somebody and they go to Google them or they go to look them up and they don't have a digital footprint, people are almost like, whoa, what do you mean you're not online? It's almost like the opposite of what it used to be when it first came into fruition, right? A lot of people weren't online, but fast forward 20 years later, it's almost like, is this person for real? Do they have a hidden agenda? Do they have something to hide because they don't have either a LinkedIn profile or something, digital to find on social media?
Yeah, well, sometimes also they can be impersonated by other
Correct.
people,
Correct.
and that could also be at a loss. So if they don't do it themselves, someone else will do it for them, especially if they're a
Right.
celebrity.
Right.
And that I've seen cases like that. Guess what? You can look under, I don't
Millions
know,
of cases.
some popular
Right.
billionaire and find out if they're on the platform, and obviously you see they're on it, but they're not really
For
who
sure.
they are. So.
So when you talked about mistakes, not just the headshots and photos, but when people are putting up themselves on there, what mistakes are common mistakes and pratfalls that people actually do make when they make their profile?
Well, I would think that not investing in a professional headshot is certainly that is a big mistake. You should really look for a photographer that does these professional
Mhm.
headshots. There are some AI technologies also that could be helpful
Mhm.
too, so don't overlook that. I would say that have a robust profile, including features such as your about
Mhm.
section. I mean, I think that's important to kind of showcase some of the things that you are kind of known for. You have work
Mhm.
experience, but I wouldn't put every work experience on there, for example. I mean, the fact that you worked at McDonald's at 16 really is not going to work well unless you're working for the corporation as a corporate
Right. Right.
bigwig. But I would limit to maybe, I don't know, two or three recent
Right.
jobs itself. It just shows you, you have a certain
Mhm.
stability there. I think most importantly is there are features such as list any skills that you have, any awards that you've won, which is really
Mhm.
helpful. Also, if you've done any type of
Right.
volunteer work, that's looked very favorable on
Yes.
employers, because it shows you you're
Right.
giving back. That really helps, make a difference, I would say, in that regards. And I think also what I find is that people should consider looking at
Mhm.
recommendations on their particular
Right.
profile, because that's another what we call a third party endorsement that really helps set you apart from the competition, especially if you're in a situation where you're, maybe, I don't know, competing with another uh,
Right.
competitor out
Right.
there, and you're trying to shed yourself differently. If you have, 50 profile recommendations, the other guy only has two. Well, who else do you think they
It's
could
going to set you
consider?
apart for sure. Now, just to
Yeah.
pivot briefly
Well,
back to AI. So, a lot of companies, obviously, what typically happens is companies go all in on it because it's the thing that they don't want to get left behind. And then all of a sudden, it gets to dial back because, like, take for instance, like automated checkouts at grocery stores, right? Everybody went all in on it because they're like, this is going to be fast, efficient. And then next thing you know, the people responded and were like, dude, I can't take this because every time something dings, I got to ask. It's more annoying. People will get annoyed if they need to do a return, if it rang up the wrong quantity, and you would see the frustration building. And then a lot of companies pulled back on automated checkouts and started putting cashiers in place. Do you see that happening with artificial intelligence, where kind of the genie gets out of the bottle? People find out they want human interaction in certain things, and then companies are going to dial back.
well, I think that companies are slowly coming around to AI
Mm-hmm.
technology, and they are embracing it because they see the time that they can save
Mm-hmm.
themselves. You also see ways to improve their profile by using the technology. So I don't think they'll be dialing back at any time. I think they'll probably be going forward, but more cautiously. And also, technology is always changing. So I always find that, slow and steady is always good. You don't have to be the first to, take advantage of a new
Mm-hmm.
technology. If you find others out there are using it, certainly you should jump on the wagon, because the train is living, and you don't want to be left
Right,
behind.
right. What courses and classes do you recommend for somebody, either a small business owner or somebody who wants to get their skills up to par when it comes to getting into artificial intelligence? Is there certification, excuse me, certain courses, universities, people who work full time, students, people who are trying to get back into the workforce, or just gain valuable skills?
Well, I'd say the hottest industry right now is prompt engineering.
Okay.
So if you are looking to get involved, I would think that would be the industry to select.
Now, can you go a little deeper into that? Because I'd never heard of that actually.
Well, it's very simple. When you are creating an idea for, let's say ChatGPT, you want to be able to give it information that is going to be very much accurate to what your results are looking
Right.
for. So you need to create a type of content to give it instructions in order for it to give you the exact
Got it.
results. And that's what prompt engineering is
Okay.
involved. And it's about creating structure, creating definedness as far as what the result you're looking for, because it is an art and a science
Right.
to that. And once you master it, it works out well. And in fact, in my book, The LinkedIn Advantage, I offer 100 free, I would say, LinkedIn prompts that they
Yeah.
can use in order to apply towards LinkedIn postings. So it's part of my book as a free
Yeah, because a lot of
bonus.
times people like, obviously I'm sure people use all sorts of different robust tools, but there's actually a lot of softwares that'll automate your posts so you're not having to log in every single day and make posts. It'll do everything for the week. Some people still, quote unquote typewriter it, but it's an essence of time when people who know they're putting out regular content and have a regular schedule, they can automate that process for themselves, which is a great use of artificial intelligence. Are there any, now you've written other books. What are your other books that you wrote?
I would say mostly they're insurance based, and focusing on life insurance, particularly for final expense. A lot of seniors are not understanding that they can still get coverage regardless of their health condition. I
Really?
mean, as long as they are. Yeah, it's surprising. I mean, if they had cancer or if they had a heart attack recently, there are companies that will insure them, depending on the amounts they're looking for, to cover for basic funeral
Correct.
expenses, which could be pretty substantial.
Unquestionably.
And helps people educate them about that topic.
What's crazy about insurance is it's like the thing you need, but it's the boogeyman because like you almost when you have to navigate it, how did it get to be so complex? Like I know the history of it in this country. It was born out of World War II. It was price controls, and then it kind of devolved as the employers got the tax free. It wasn't taxable because the Supreme Court ruled on it, and it never really. And it's always been kind of a patchwork system in this country. I'm certainly not trying to make a political debate. People, it's notoriously complex. You get your benefits book, and then you have to navigate your networks. You have to navigate whether it's HMO or PPO. How do people streamline the lack of the complexity that takes place? Because on paper, it's a simple thing. I go to the doctor, fill a prescription. It's all the behind the scenes sausage making that confuses people.
Well, simple. Reach out to advisors like myself who don't charge a fee for
Yeah.
services, and educate them about the complexity and make it simple for them. Real Easy Medicare is another
Mhm.
website that I use, and I find that people who have these questions can go to the website or to a Facebook group I created as well, which talks about these topics that come up, particularly when it comes to Medicare and Social
Okay.
Security. And they can address it in a platform that makes it easy for them to get answers for their questions if they have.
That's fantastic. It's I guess the answer is sometimes staring you right in the face. Reach out to the subject matter experts on this. So what fascinated me so much was when I saw your profile, and you're big on AI, and then I see an AI image of you, and I'm like, this guy's already like. I thought it was one of the funniest things because he's already like integrating AI every single day into his life and usage. So
Sure.
people have obviously been deep faked, they've been catfish, so to speak. Is there a standardized way to use artificial intelligence in our everyday lives? Because we're already using it, right? Like when we use our Netflix, we use our Amazon, we use our phones. So, are there going to be some guardrails around the usage of this, legislative wise, or just on a day by day basis to kind of keep it under control? So, or is it kind of just going to stay the way that it is?
It's hard to say what the future can
Mm-hmm.
predict nowadays. I think AI is here to
Mm-hmm.
stay. I think at some point there will be controls expected, and particularly with
Right,
children, I think they may get exposed to things that they should not be at
right.
that age. There needs to be protections involved. I'm not sure what will happen, but I believe that down the road there will be more possibilities for getting that under control. But right now, for those who use it the right way, it's really an excellent tool to save you time and create content that really will make a difference, depending on your career or your business that
Yeah,
you're
I've
involved
talked
with.
to quite a few small business owners, and they absolutely love it because oftentimes they're wearing multiple hats, when they're doing their business, and they found out whether it streamlines their accounting, whether it streamlines their marketing or ad and sales. They were normally doing the job of 2 to 3 people, and it really let them focus on one thing because they were able to automate these particular processes that, for lack of a better term, are very mundane spreadsheets, Excel files, and paperwork. So it's certainly a fantastic tool. What does the future hold for Alan Kushner when it comes to more speaking engagements, more education? Are you still kind of dibbling dabbling into various different industries that you do right now and helping people with linked advantage?
Certainly, more books are on the
Okay,
way.
nice.
So, because as you know, with technology changing, I expect next year my book will be even more
Right.
robust. Because every year it's always amazing how many things are coming to fruition. So, I look forward to that opportunity to help educate others out there about how to manage LinkedIn effectively and strategically.
Do people prefer more hard copies, or do you see people like getting digital copies more? Because even though I like audiobooks, there's something about actually holding something in my hand that is priceless. To be quite honest with
Well, I give people all
you.
the options, so they can go to paperback, they can go to
Mhm.
hardcover, or an ebook. Those are definitely available. The book will be released on July 4th, so the soft cover and the ebook should be available at that time, as well as the audiobook version. So they can reach out and get that available to them through their retailers.
It's fantastic. And I always ask everybody who I'm honored to talk to, every single guest that I get a chance to speak with, where can people find Al Kushner? You certainly don't need me because obviously you've been very successful without getting on the show. But just for the listeners, where can they find you and your services and what you have to offer?
Go to my website, linkedvantage.com. You'll find great resources available. I even have a free ebook to help optimize your profile. So you can go to the website and check it out. Also, reach out to me on LinkedIn.
Right.
I'm available. And all I'm saying, if you want to reach out, don't pitch slap me because I will not take that.
Last question. And this was just dawning in my mind because I have 3 young daughters, and obviously they're not going into college. For people because college is so competitive, it's so expensive. What recommendations do you have for high school seniors or people who are at that age or getting at that age to make a LinkedIn profile or have their resume/CV ready? Like, what do they need to do to make themselves marketable ready, either to get the scholarships, the entry into college, because it is so competitive and so cutthroat, and now it's everything's so visible for everybody. Have you ran into that, or any advice for that?
Well, yeah, certainly begin at that age. If you are working, you can include it in your resume. If you've done any volunteer work, if you won any awards or scholarships, those are certainly helpful in making your profile stand out beyond what the competition is doing. Certainly, some people, for example, boys are in Boy Scouts. They could be an Eagle
Right,
Scout or
right.
something. These are all things that are looking good to college
Okay,
admissions because of the competitiveness of it. So
absolutely.
as with anything, you want to, stress that if you want to get into a school, you should do whatever you can to make yourself at least more or better than what your competition is doing.
Unquestionably, and constantly updated. Always remember that nothing can be more detrimental than having something that hasn't been updated for years, months on end as well.
Yeah. You should always update your profile at least every 6 months, or even more recently if you have a job that you acquired recently or an award you
Right.
received. That should be also part of your LinkedIn, and some people don't do that, and that's really
It's harmful for their prospects in life, for sure. Al Kushner, I got to tell you, like I said, I feel like I could pick your brain for hours on end. I'm very respectful of your time, and I'm glad that you reached out to me. And I think people who are concerned or scared of artificial intelligence should understand that it's here, and we have to make the best use of it possible.
Yeah, I agree. It's something that you should look into. And my book is a great resource for those who want to learn more about not just using LinkedIn AI technology, but to help save them time. And time is money when it comes to LinkedIn, so you want to make the most out of it. So definitely you'll find value by reading the book.
Much appreciate you, and I hope all is well in Sunnyside, Florida, sir. Yep.
Thank you. I appreciate
Thank
the
you.
opportunity.
Bye.